Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2023, 2024, 2025 forecast event. We are bringing together astrology, wisdom traditions, ecological perspectives, Indigenous prophecies, the knowledge written and encoded in our sacred sites, and so much more to provide you with an in-depth understanding about all that will occur during the massively crucial years of 2023, 24, 25, and beyond. So listen in here to gain profound new understandings, learn what you can do to be ready on all levels, and expand your perception of what is possible as we move forward together with courage and resilience during these catalyzing times. I am your host and the creator of this event. My name is Jocelyn Starfeather, and today I am thrilled to present Gertrude Mache. Welcome, Gertrude. It is always such a pleasure and an honor to speak with you.
It's good to be back. Jocelyn, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, yes. And let me share just a little bit about your work with everybody. International speaker, celebrated author, and philanthropy consultant, Rooney International Scholar, three-time TEDx speaker, and Rotary International president, Gertrude Mache is an inspirational speaker who has been described as a vibrant bundle of African energy whose zest and passion for life inspires everyone she meets. Gertrude is passionate about helping people achieve their full potential and find their individual life purpose. Her passion for individual success makes her an energetic, inspirational, and enlightening speaker. And Gertrude, I am always just so inspired by your energy and your presence that you bring. So thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Yes, and so your topic for today is the new era, becoming a digital society. And before we began recording here, we were having a really profound conversation that is just so important and relevant to these times that we are in and how much change we're experiencing, it seems, every day, and the real initiations that we're each going through in our lives right now. So is there anything that you want to say or speak to around those themes as we begin?
Yeah, this week has been very, very interesting for me. I have received news of the passing of two very, very good friends, women who died way before their time. And seeing you this morning and sharing with you, despite how far away you are, I felt you were in this room with me. So as we move into this new digital era, it's going to depend how we use this technology to support each other, hold each other, be with each other. So it was quite profound for me to be able to share with you and to feel like you were right here in this room with me. And I feel so, so blessed. You know, sometimes when you hear of the passing of a friend, you say, okay, these things happen. Then when you hear of another friend in the same week, days apart, it's almost like a slap in the face of how we think we have control of our lives. We think we have control of this breath that we are gifted. And we don't, we really don't. I think that's what I'm sitting with this morning, an appreciation of the passing of my two friends and the gift they gave me, with this knowing that I have to be very aware of how I use my energy, who I surround myself with, what my priorities are. And just to ensure that when my time comes, and you never know when that will be, I will have lived my life to the full and used everything that was gifted to me, what I was supposed to leave behind. These are interesting times we're living through. Very, very interesting times.
Truly, truly are. And I'm so sorry for your loss, Gertrude. My heart goes out to you.
Thank you. This couldn't have been a better start to my morning, spending it with you like this. Really, I couldn't have picked a better person to share my grief with today.
Mm. And it is so important for us to be here for each other during these times, right? And it's the magnitude of what we're all going through right now as a collective, and each person individually as a part of that. It's just really unfathomable, even if we look back 2 or 3 years ago, to think about all that's changing, all that's happening today. And so, yeah, how can technology, help us with this? You've mentioned one way here this morning, but I'm sure there are many more examples.
Yeah. I think this technology is here for us to use wisely. I grew up in the 80s in Africa during the AIDS pandemic. So this is my second pandemic. And I remember sharing the stories of losing so many family members. By the time I was 33, out of my grandmother's 34 grandchildren, 19 of my first cousins had died. And I would tell these stories 21 years ago, and I could see people's eyes kind of glazing over like I was telling some kind of a fiction story. It was just so unbelievable for people in the West to comprehend one person knowing 19 first cousins who had died. And we're having a shared experience right now. And the internet has really flattened the earth. We are so connected. We hear about everything that is happening around us. And so how do we consume the information? How do we use the technology to reach out to those who are not close to us? We're really living in a very, very digital era. And I think as individuals, we each need to see how to utilize this technology for the greater good, for the greater whole of humanity. And you're right, we're having a shared experience right now. I don't think there is anyone who's going to come out of this experience unscathed in some small way. We're all going to hear of somebody that we know, somebody we're close to, who's been impacted by this pandemic. And that's why we're having this shared experience. And my grandmother used to say, when catastrophic events happen that affect millions and billions of people like this, the universe, God, whatever binds this universe together, is teaching us something. So what are the lessons we are supposed to be getting from this? What are the teachings? What are the knowings? And for me, when I sit with it, it's a realization of just how connected we truly are. That there isn't a you, there isn't a me, there's only a we, and we are having a we shared experience. We're literally a breath away from affecting and infecting each other with COVID. And if one person in the world is not okay, we're all not okay. And I don't think we'll ever go back to the way it used to be. It's not possible. This is the new norm. This is the new way of life, a new way of being.
Yes, that's so powerful. I hadn't thought of it in that way before, that we're not going to go back to living so separately. It's kind of been every country separately, or even every household separately. But Yeah, this interconnectedness is really firmly established. And again, it's a network that we must have to navigate all of this. I think one thing that is really clear and really up for all of us is this process of releasing, like releasing old patterns, releasing old belief systems, releasing control, as you had mentioned, accepting that we don't have control. What would you say about that as a larger lesson for us and learning through this loss process?
I'm learning to surrender to what is coming into my experience. I think if you try and fight it, if you try and resist, this will be a very, very challenging time. And learning to let go of the things I have no control over, and learning to understand the things that I do have control over. Yeah, it's the art of surrendering. And I think in that process, you have to ensure that every day when you wake up in the morning, you pay attention to your breath. You realize that this is the time you've been gifted to be alive, to experience what it is to be alive. And we don't control that. We really don't. So what do you do in the days that you're given, in the time that you're given? How are you spending it with your family, with your loved ones, in your community? How are you helping somebody else who isn't close to you? And it's a time for giving and not taking. It's a time for giving. You know, the Chinese write the word for crisis with two symbols. One stands for dangerous, the other stands for opportunity. So as human beings, as humanity, we have been presented with a very, very dangerous opportunity. And it's up to each and every one of us how we're going to use this opportunity, not just to change our lives, but to change our communities and our societies. You know, I've been observing how, for me, I'm feeling more connected to the people around me than I ever was before. I think I might have shared this the last time we connected, that I got to know my neighbors because one of our neighbors came and dropped a letter in every household in my street saying, "Hi, my name is John, my wife is Mary. If you need any help, this is our cell phone number." And this couple connected a street with almost 200 families that I never knew. I got to meet a woman who was two houses away from me, who is disabled. She had two little children, a 1-year-old and a 9-month-old baby. And because of COVID, they couldn't bring anyone in to help. And I was able to volunteer to read stories to her little son on Zoom. And she could sit back with her baby for an hour, 90 minutes of the day. And I would entertain her little boy, reading him African stories, you know. I would never have known that family if it hadn't been for COVID. And it wasn't a lot for me to do. It was just 90 minutes of my time. But for a young mom who's disabled, who has two small kids, that's the little gift I could give. And, you know, it could be that you're in a supermarket and you bump into someone and you say hello and you smile and you look into their eyes. There are people who haven't had human contact for days, for weeks. They haven't seen their own families. So we become the families for them. So what are you going to do with the technology that you have? When was the last time you picked up the phone and called your sister or your mother or your father or your brother. The friends that you have around the world who you haven't talked to in years. And that's what I mean by us transitioning into this digital society where we use the digital technology for good. You know, one of my projects right now is to create an app that connects women in marginalized communities around the world, helping, giving them access to sell their product, to sell their services using cell phone technology. Now, in Africa, you could go to the poorest village. There will be no electricity, no running water, but every woman has got 2, 3 cell phones. We use cell phones not just to make calls, but to transact, to buy groceries, to pay for school fees. We don't have ATM machines or banking systems that work, but every woman has got a cell phone. So I'm tapping into that and creating a bridge for women in third world countries to be able to connect with the world so they can sell their products, sell their services, and make a living. That's again using digital technology. So we could get really smart in solving the world's problems. You know, I sat back and I realized that Africa is a continent with 1.4 billion people. 60% of Africa's population are under the age of 30. These are young, vibrant people who are desperate for work, who are desperate for ways to make money. And I'm really excited about this app. Through a weird series of coincidences, again, through digital technology, I connected with a very fascinating young man on LinkedIn. He reached out to me. I still need to ask him why he was attracted to my profile. But he said to me, Gertrude, we are a small group of technology experts based in the UK and in Germany, and we give a free pro bono session to people that inspire us. And your profile is interesting. Are you open to talking to us? And I started talking to them about 3 weeks ago. I shared my vision, my passion, the idea around this app. And this technology company has taken on my project.
Wow, how amazing.
And this would not have happened, right? If I wasn't online, if I wasn't on LinkedIn. And they did their research about me. They Googled me. They found all of my videos, my TED Talks, my presentations. By the time they talked to me, they knew more about me than I know about myself. It was so scary. But this is what I mean about being in a digital society. So I'm sharing this in case anybody who's listening to this interview right now has an idea, has a passion, has something that you're working towards, and you don't have the money, you don't have the skills, you don't know the technology to help you, talk about it. Share it through videos. I have been talking about this project for the last 2 years. When I pitched myself for the awards, for the New Zealand Australian Women in Technology Awards last year, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea how I was going to bring this app to life. But I keep telling people, I keep talking about it in all of my presentations. And now through this weird synchronistic meeting with Sunny on LinkedIn, my dream is coming to life. So the technology is there. It's accessible to all of us. It's at our fingertips. How are you using it? How are you harnessing your stories, your ideas? How are you sharing them? You know, I had one person saying to me, Gertrude, you give away too much, she said. You've put your idea online about this app. And I said, if somebody takes the idea and runs with it and creates this app, my job is done. The job is done. That's why I share these ideas. And some people are fearful. They hold on to their ideas and they take these ideas to their grave out of the fear that somebody might steal my idea.
Right.
The honest truth is, whether you do it or not, ideas come into our brains through the ether. Somebody else is going to tap into the same idea and create it before you do. They say that when the Wright brothers invented the airplane, there were several other people around the world who had already come up with the same idea. But they got theirs to market first, and now they're known for it. But if you Google, there were several people who had the same idea. They knew exactly how to create the airplane, and they didn't get to do it, right?
Mhm. That's so fascinating that these ideas, they have a life force of their own, and we're
They
just a
do.
conduit.
And the universe will give the idea to several people, and several people will have it. And we come into this world holding the idea, the gifts. You know, my grandmother used to say that's why babies are born with their little fists clutched. We come into this world with these gifts, with these knowings, with these ideas. What are you going to do with them? Are you going to unleash your hands and give those gifts back to the world? Or are you going to take them to your grave? That's really what I'm sitting with this morning, you know. They say the richest places in the world are graveyards. They are packed with people who were born with brilliant ideas, who had amazing stories to share, and they didn't have the courage to do it.
That's so profound and so powerful. Yes. And I love what you said about dangerous opportunity. That really feels like it just pretty much sums up the times that we're in. And this is absolutely reflected in the astrology. It's really incredible. We're at this time of, great challenge and difficulty alongside massive opportunity. Right. And so it seems from what you're saying that our role here in all of this is to really focus on these opportunities and see what opportunities we can find, even as we're going through the really difficult times, the big challenges.
And it's in times of big challenges that we are stretched the most. That's where the biggest learnings come from. These are the times when you manifest quick and fast. And if you do have an idea, don't start with how am I going to do it? Because if you start with the how, you then realize you don't have the money, you don't have the skills, you don't have the time. All of the I don't have show up when you start with how. The fastest way to manifest anything is to focus on why you're doing it. I know that my app has the ability to change the face of Africa, to help millions and millions of families get access to the world and make an income online. And so that's been my focus, just really looking at the big picture, the big vision of the possibility that is there. And the more I've talked about it, it's almost as if you give energy to the story, the more you share it. And then it's almost magnetic. It's almost like a magnetic charge that goes around the story that is with you, the essence of your being. And then you just start attracting these people. I mean, that's been the story of my life. I've never tried to think about the bricks before I build a house. I get very clear in my head what the house looks like. And that's why an architect can build a house. Somebody will come up with a concept in their heads, and then they will sketch the diagram of what the house will look like before they even start building it. That's how you bring your ideas into being. So just take a pen and paper and write it down, something as simple as that, because all of our thoughts, all of our ideas have an energetic vibration to them. Our ideas are energy in motion. And like you were saying, they pass through us to be manifested into the world. And it starts with just a pen and paper and writing the idea down. And then you start talking about it. You are giving it more energy. And then these synchronistic little coincidences, these little things that happen, and you think, why did I meet this person on LinkedIn? And then also being very, very present to the people who are coming into your life when you're in creation mode. Because the sharing of the idea is almost like planting a seed in soil and then putting water and watering it every single day. Knowing that the idea is there, the seed is there, but it needs nourishment, it needs sunshine, it needs exposure. And then it breaks ground, and there's your little seedling. It's now visible to the physical world, and you bring it into being.
I love that analogy of the seed, and then yes, it becomes real. And our thoughts and our words, when we write something, when we speak something, we have so much more power than we realize. We have so much more power than we've been taught. And this is something they knew in ancient times, that our words carry tremendous power. And so we can connect back in with that. And I just love what you said to begin, just by writing it down. That's already starting to make it real in 3D.
It is.
Already
Something
building.
as simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Now, I know that you speak about and you help people to find their purpose, to really get their life on track with what they're meant to do, what we were sent here to do. So what recommendations do you have for people who are still searching for that, who are still wondering, like, how can I contribute at this time? I haven't figured it out quite yet.
I believe that your life purpose lies in the things that you are passionate about. It lies in your intuitive gifts, in the things that you do without going to university or being taught how to do it. I always tell people that I was that little girl who was punished for speaking. I would be at the back of the class, cracking jokes, making people laugh. I loved speaking as a child, and that was my biggest gift. I would get into trouble. My parents would always be told in my reports when I came home that I would be disrupting the class. And my dad decided to help me channel the energy and encourage me to do public speaking. I started doing debates in school. I started acting. I was part of the drama club. And I channeled that gift and started to express myself through the gift. A lot of people would ask me, where did you study to act? I actually have no formal training in acting or speaking. These were things that just came intuitively, and those were the gifts that I came clutching in my hands. So if you're trying to figure out what your life purpose is, talk to somebody who knew you when you were little. Talk to your mom, talk to your dad, your grandmother. Because if you watch somebody who plays soccer, you're not taught how to play soccer. You're not taught how to play tennis. These are intuitive gifts that people have, and you can put them on a basketball court and they will catch that ball and shoot a hoop. And everybody's standing around them thinking, how did they do that? How do you do that? How do you draw a picture? How did Michael Jackson dance? And we all know Michael Jackson. He was mesmerizing when he was doing his thing. So you have something like that in you. But the problem is, as we grow up and we transition into teenagers and we become adults, we have layers that are put on us that distance us from those gifts. We have life circumstances that distract you from the gift. I ended up going into IT, into computers as a profession because my dad lost his job. The bank is about to repossess our home. And I had gone for an interview and got a job as a COBOL programmer. I hated my job as a coder. I was a terrible developer. I'm a people person. I love being in front of people and connecting with people. I was very fortunate that my boss realized this, and he encouraged me to study further and do courses in systems analysis and design. And I ended up in training people in computers. So I went back to using my voice in the IT profession. So you do get distracted by life sometimes. Go back to the things that you did as a child, that you did intuitively without being taught. And if you can find a way to make a living from that point, then you're not working anymore. Your job is not a job, it's your passion. I could speak 24/7 a day. I could connect with people for the 24 hours I have in a day. It actually energizes me. It doesn't feel like work. So go back to your intuitive gifts and find a way to create a profession from there. Find a way to give from there. If you're somebody who can sing, use your voice to give back to the world. I think that would be my advice.
Yes, this is all so helpful and so wonderful. Thank you. I love that idea of what is it that you could do all day long, every day, and just be so happy that you're doing it. Then you know you have found the right thing for sure.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what we're built to do,
Yeah.
that's what we're sent here for. Wow. Well, thank you for all that you have shared, Gertrude. Is there what would you say is the most important thing for all of us listening to remember as we move forward into 2023, 24, 25, these next few really critical years in our world?
I think the main thing I would love everybody to remember is that we are living on borrowed time. We are living on borrowed time, and this breath that we have is a gift. It is a gift that you get to choose to use wisely. It is a gift that you get to realize you have no control over. So be mindful how you spend your day. Be mindful how you connect with the people around you. It starts at home, with your husband, with your wife, with your children. It extends to your community. It extends to your extended family. Are you connecting authentically on a one-on-one basis when you're talking to another human being? It could be in the office with your staff. I used to have a boss who would walk into the office and he would say, "Good morning to everyone. How are you?" And he would literally go to everybody's desk and say hello. And I remember the girl who was in the cubicle next to me, her mother had died that morning. And he didn't really stop to listen to what she said back. And he walked past her and said hello to the next person and the next person and the next person. So are you listening with intention when you are with other human beings, when you ask a question, when you're in conversation? Are you listening to be heard, or are you listening to understand what the other person is saying? So that's what I would love to leave you with. This breath is not ours. It is a gift.
Yes. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you for giving me the time to share. And thank you to everybody who's listening to this interview for taking the time to listen to my story this morning.
Yes, always a pleasure to speak with you. And would you like to share your website? And is there anything that you have coming up that you want our audience to know about?
Okay, so my website is theherstorycircle.com. We have an upcoming summit on the 1st to the 10th of November. It will be online. Please connect with me. If you have a story you want to share, go onto my website and register. We are still looking for speakers. And if you do watch any of our videos, please share them, because we have connected with some very, very inspiring people who are sharing their stories to change the world.
Wonderful. And we'll include that link right below this interview, so you can scroll down and see that link here. And yeah, is there anything else that you want to share? Well, I know you have a free gift, so we'll talk about that in a minute.
So the free gift is my story. It is my first memoir. It is an ebook that you can download for free, and you will share the link. And I also want to share a few of my hours, maybe to the first 10 people who download the book, a free consultation with me. If you are wanting help to find your life purpose, I will give away 1 hour of my time to the first 10 people who download the book.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. This is so generous. And I know our audience will be thrilled to read your book and maybe get a chance to talk with you and consult with you as well. So everybody listening, be sure to scroll down just a little below the interview here, and you will see a link that you can click on to download Gertrude's book and also get a chance to speak with her. Well, thank you, Gertrude. I just can't thank you enough for all that you are doing and creating in the world, and your beautiful, inspiring presence that you bring to us. So thank you, and much love to you, and many blessings to all that you are working on.
Thank you so much. Namaste.